The trading problem is getting worse. So many more people are joining trading these days. Millions and millions of people are joining in. In the last decade, the retail trading participation went from something like 10% to 25 as of
Wow.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that is what we are worried about, because we're seeing that many more people will have the same issue: inability to make money, a lot of emotions drained, and a lot of time drained. People still join and will keep joining, even though the statistics is stacked against them. 90% of them will still fail. That means we have millions more people per year who will experience these issues. But institutions are obviously very, very happy. Why? Because you're the liquidity they are going to trade against. And wherever you're putting your stop loss is where they're putting their entries. You're exiting after your rate trading session, and institutions are buying your shorts or buying your longs, entering with big size, and are able to capitalize on it. So overall, they are very, very much interested in promoting trading, in getting more people to trade, because you guys are their kind of counterparty players, and they're really happy to see you on the field. We as a company, we see that problem, and we're quite worried because so many more millions of people are joining every year. We are expecting that they are going to have the same types of issues as the previous generation of traders. So as technologies like this technologies that we're building in-house, they're all aiming towards one thing, which is maximizing the chances of the person not losing money, spending way less emotions on trading, and spending much less time on trading. For example, right now, so what we're planning to reveal to the market is kind of like a Tamagotchi trader.
Okay.
That you have and that you train, that you talk to, that you give feedback to. This entity, so to speak, so we can talk about him as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
It has all the access to all sorts of data that you can imagine, to sentiment, to price data, so you can do technical analysis, to order book data. And what you do is you by giving the feedback, you're kind of growing it into being your personal trader, the trader that can trade for you on 24/7. Obviously, no emotions unless you bake them in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're telling it to be afraid of, a falling price, it will be afraid.
Right.
And so in that manner, we're going to be able to give people the opportunity to completely step away from the market, because our overall goal is for humans not to touch the market.
Right.
There must be an intermediary in between the human and the market, because the human simply, like statistically speaking, he will make mistakes that he will regret, and that will affect further choices.
Mm-hmm.
The agent we're building obviously is going to be using some form of a resource to do the thinking. We have both LLM-based agents and the ML-based agents. So for the LLM one, the one that I'm talking about, like Tamagotchi, it will obviously consume something. Of course, it will consume tokens. So the current R&D that we're doing is we're trying to reduce the amount of tokens that it's using. We did create a very smart system, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too expensive to run, because it analyzes charts, analyzes sentiment, analyzes everything, and that can rack up your bill, especially if you're using something like an Claude Opus model. And we don't think that majority of the people will be able to afford it. So the current R&D efforts are focusing on reducing the amount of tokens that the agent is using while still keeping the same result. And once that is done and we see that unit economics, they make sense, we're going to unveil it on our platform.
So given that, the sheer amount of data that you're actually handling as part of this, and you're using state-of-the-art models, which obviously are quite expensive, use a lot of tokens in order to handle that in an efficient manner. Looking at the R&D timeline that you have, what does the horizon look like as far as bringing this to market?
We're really hoping to release it in the next 2 months.
Okay.
That is a bit contingent on some other business processes, but the main architecture we already have. It's working. Now it's just only about bringing the cost down so that the average user can actually afford it. As if we launch the current version to somebody in, Indonesia or other Southeast Asia parts, it's simply not affordable. So hopefully 2 months. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But the main thing is done. We're just trying to make it a bit more usable at the current stage.
But I mean, it's available now, right? I mean, it is actually, the technology is there. You can use it. It's just sort of cost prohibitive, is what you're saying, right? So I mean, you find yourself inevitably in kind of, I assume, this binary thing where you have the cost of operating the agent versus the returns that you're actually getting from from the trading itself.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be the decisive factor for the user, right? So he's going to be looking at his P&L curve, so he's making profit, making loss, and then also having an addition of how many tokens he has spent, what is the overall cost of running that agent. So unless somebody's running it on a decent amount of capital, it might not be feasible at this day and age. If somebody's running like $1 million, sure, it's pennies.
Right.
But if somebody's running like $100, you want to have an option for that person so that he would be able to earn enough and not spend too much, so that his bottom line is kind of covered and he's actually making the net profit from this whole thing.
I mean, so not everybody's going to win, right? It's like, obviously,
Yeah.
you set these things up to have all the intelligence, but ultimately the market is still the market.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and I think it will heavily depend on the user, how much effort he's putting into giving the right information to this personal trading agent. What kind of feedback are you giving? Are you biasing the model? Are you not biasing? And are you interfering? And I think the biggest kind of fear I have is that people who already are very accustomed to interfering with their own trading, like they have a trade plan and then they do not follow their trade plan, they would simply cut some trades which the agent is trying to execute and interfere too much, and then write something angry to the agents like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting this, and etc. So again, you see, we're coming back to the same thing. The primary failure core to any system is again human. It's not the system itself. So if the human is gonna be programming this agent to be behaving in a certain way and then interfering and then arguing, then the agent is likely not to do well. Versus if you're just trying to analyze how the agent is doing, its actions, how is it analyzing data, and then give feedback on that, on the process itself, I think that's a much higher chance. But yes, obviously not. It's the financial market. It is not possible for everybody to win. Even in the best case scenario, it's only 50% win, 50% lose. So, but we're hoping to bring the numbers better than what you see in the traditional trading bot industries, which only take out around 20%. So 80% likely to still lose money. So if our users are only 60% likely to lose money, I've considered it a huge win, because then we're far ahead.
Yeah, makes
far
sense.
ahead.